Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Nike Sabrina 1. So this shoe is retailing for $130 and also for $150. It's on Nike ID finally, or I guess Nike by You is what they're calling it now. So $20 more, you can customize the shoe, which I think is a really dope thing. And this is pretty much the only basketball shoe I think that's available that you can ID, which sucks. I don't know why they're only putting the Sabrina 1 on it. I wish they would put other shoes on it, but still, it's dope, you know what I mean? So affiliate links will be in the description box for that, but let's get started right off with the Tracciones. And then this colorway, we have kind of like a semi-translucent rubber, right? It's like this iridescent rubber, and we have a solid rubber outsole with this like tan color going like kind of in the middle of the outsole, right? And we have kind of like a very modified herringbone traction pattern. And how is the traction? The traction is really good. You know, on a clean court, I had an amazing time. Has a very good bite. I wouldn't say it's top tier, but it has a very good bite. Solid performer on a clean court, right? However, on dust, it was a little bit worse. You know what I mean? So I was definitely playing in shoes that was amazing on dust, right? So for example, like the Giannis Immortality 3, the AG4, the Player 1 Plus, you know what I mean? The Jaw 1s, and I was playing with all those with the Sabrina 1s, right? On a dirty court. And then the Sabrina 1s, when I switched into these, I would slide around a little bit more, and it would pick up dust a little bit faster than those shoes that I just mentioned as well. But those are like top tier tractions, right? So like it's not bad or anything like that. You know, it just picks up a little bit more dust, and it's affected by dust a little bit more. But I guess the good thing is though is that it's a very easy and slight wipe, right? So it does pick up a little bit more dust, so you're gonna have to wipe a little bit more, but it's a very easy wipe. So if you don't mind wiping, then you're gonna be fine, right? And even if you're playing on a pretty dirty court, I feel like the Sabrina 1 you should be fine in, right? It's just not the best performance on dust in my personal opinion than what I've been playing, right? So there's that. And durability, I feel like durability, you should be fine. You know what I mean? The grooves are very deep. The grooves are also thick, and the rubber is quite hard. So I feel like you should be okay on an outdoor court. So overall traction, I had a pretty good time, especially when I was playing on a clean court. And also for me, I don't really mind wiping that much. So it was fine for me on a dusty court as well, right? Now moving on to the heel to toe transition, also very super extremely smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice curve shape, fully exposed React foam, which is actually really soft. Here in the forefoot, we have a nice curve shape and a lot of forefoot flex and also midfoot flex. So yeah. If you need torsional support, obviously this is not a good shoe for you. You know what I mean? But for me, I don't really need it as much, so I didn't really care that much about it. But like I said, if you care about that, then obviously stay away from it. But overall, heel to toe transition is super duper smooth, right? Coming from the heel to the toe, when you're doing heel dominant strides on the court, it felt very nice and smooth, right? So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup, I also really like the cushioning setup. It's a very basic cushioning setup. I feel like they did it very well, and it does most things pretty damn well, right? So we have a full length React foam, which I love React. You know, React feels amazing. It's soft, it's low density, so it doesn't add too much weight to the shoe. It also has a nice bit of bounce. It lasts a lot longer than like Lunarlon does, you know what I mean? So it has a nice compression here in the heel. It's soft, but also we have a nice bounce back here in the heel, which feels great, right? Also here in the forefoot, we have a top loaded zoom unit, which feels nice and bouncy right underneath your foot here in the forefoot. So that felt nice as well. So it's just like, it's not amazing, right? It's not super bouncy. It's not super comfortable. I guess the React is super comfortable, but it does everything pretty well, right? I feel like it's a great cushioning setup for a guard as well, right? So it's not too soft, it's not too mushy, it's not too bouncy or anything like that. And I really enjoyed the cushioning setup, you know what I mean? Also, court feel is great. Impact protection is adequate, especially on heel strikes. It's responsive. You have a nice little bounce here in the heel from the actual React. Also a nice little bounce in the forefoot as well. So it's just a really nice overall responsive cushioning setup that isn't too anything. You know what I mean? It's not too bouncy, it's not too, you know what I mean, too mushy or anything. So I feel like most guards will enjoy it like I have. Also, I feel like even if you're a bigger dude, you should be fine with the cushioning setup. But also the impact protection isn't the best because the foam is kind of thin and court feel is pretty good, right? But I did enjoy the cushioning setup, right? Now moving on to the material. So the material is really nice. It reminds me a lot of like Jacquard from back in the day, like 2015. You guys remember the Crazy Light Boost 2015, I believe it was, with the Jacquard. It was super duper soft, right? So once you break it in, like once you really play in it and break it in, it gets even softer. I love this material, right? So it's like a textile material, right? And we do have a lot of kind of like stitching overlays as well, which I think is great for the design. And you can change it up with the colorways on the Nike ID, which I think is really dope, right? But yeah, it's so soft. It feels so comfortable on your foot. It's thin, right? It's very minimal too, but also supportive, right? There's not a whole lot of stretch to it. So I really absolutely love this material, right? I feel like they did a really good job. And then on the lateral and also medial sides on these quarter panels, we have kind of like a screen mesh. It's like a plastic screen mesh. And then we have a swoosh going kind of like vertical, right, on the medial side. And then here on the lateral side, we have an embroidered swoosh kind of on this upper, right? So yeah, I really like how this material feels on foot. And then for the tongue, we have like an average amount of padding. And then it's also like a half booty construction tongue, kind of. And also we do have a bit of mesh material underneath that, underneath the tongue. And then here in the ankle area, we have very minimal padding as well. So yeah, if you want a minimal material that feels very comfortable because it just gets so soft, this is an amazing option. I feel like most people will enjoy it as I have. I guess if you're looking for something a little bit more cozy, right, then this obviously isn't the best option, but it's still a really nice material. And especially for the $130 price tag, I guess, you know, this material here in the toe box feels very nice, right? But the screen mesh, a little cheap feeling, you know what I mean? Also, another thing that I really like that they did is they kind of bring back flywire, you know what I mean? You can see the flywire through the screen mesh. It adds for more durability and support here in the midfoot. You can see it on the lateral and also on the medial side, right? You can kind of see it exposed if I do it like this, right? So that's a pretty nice touch as well. And now moving on to the fit. So I went up half a size, right? All my Nike shoes have been fitting pretty short, so I've been going up half a size for all my Nike shoes. And here in the Sabrina one, I did the same, right? So if you look at the like sizing for the Sabrina one, obviously it's women's sizing, right? But you can see the men's sizing as well right next to it, right? And I did go up half a size. In my first impressions, I did say you should go up half a size. However, this kind of like textile material, it does kind of like stretch out a little bit, right? So once I broke it in, and once I guess like the heat from my foot and I guess the sweat from my foot kind of started to stretch out the material a little bit, the fit got a little bit roomier, right? So once it did get a little bit roomier, I definitely felt the length of the shoe a little bit more because it was still a little bit long, right? You know, when I first got it. However, I said like it was pretty snug here in the toe box, so it wasn't a huge deal, right? But once I broke it in and it stretched out, I feel like I wanted the length to be a little bit shorter. So for my performance review, I would say overall, if you want like a snug fit, then go true to size. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it'll probably be very snug when you first get it, but once you break it in, it'll stretch out a little bit, like I said, and then the fit will get very good, right? So yeah, I mean, if you want kind of like a little bit more of a looser fit, obviously go up half a size, but like I said, you will have a little bit of length like I did. So for me, I wish I went, you know, true to size for this shoe at least, right? Which is weird. So I guess the Sabrina one is literally the only shoe from Nike right now where I would go true to size, right? Everything else pretty much I would go up half a size for me personally, right? So yeah, so there's the fit there. It's kind of unfortunate, but I guess this material does stretch out over time. So there's that. Moving on to the support and lockdown. So support and lockdown overall was adequate for me, but it definitely wasn't the most supportive shoe, right? So for lateral containment, it felt pretty good, but this material is really soft. So I definitely felt my foot kind of rolling over the material a little bit, right? And for me, it wasn't like a terrible thing because it wasn't like my foot was moving around a lot. It was just a little bit, right? But I am light. So I feel like if you're a little bit heavier, then this definitely will not be the most supportive shoe for you, right? But as far as the lateral counters go, the lateral counters are good, right? We have this plastic coming up here in the forefoot acting as a sidewall. Here in the heel, we have the foam and also in the internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment, your foot's not gonna come out of the footbed. However, because this softer material, it's gonna move inside of the shoe just a tiny bit, like for me. But like I said, if you're heavier, just watch out for that, right? It's not the most supportive shoe in that way. Lateral stability was very good though. I mean, we have a very crazy outrigger. You can see how sharp it is. It protrudes out a lot here on the lateral side in the forefoot. So lateral stability was very good. And I didn't have any issues with heel slippage or anything like that. My foot felt pretty damn locked into the shoe when I tied it up and was playing in it. However, like I said, it's just the material was not the most supportive feeling material because it's really soft, right? Like it's supportive in the way where it doesn't stretch, right? But it kind of it's so soft that it kind of rolls over on itself. So just be careful on that. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe, if I remember correctly, it was like a little bit lighter than average, right? Yeah, 11.8 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 11.85 ounces. Yeah, so that's definitely way lighter than average. I felt very quick when I was playing the shoe. It's a very comfortable feeling shoe. I wouldn't say it's like the most responsive shoe that I've played in, because comparing it to shoes like the AG4, the Player 1 Plus, like the Jaw 1 with better traction, better support, you know what I mean? I felt a little bit quicker in those shoes. However, the Sabrina 1, I still felt quick, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I felt slow, it's just it didn't feel as responsive as those shoes. However, this shoe felt a little bit more comfortable because the material is like softer, the cushion is a little bit softer and more comfortable. And I guess the traction wasn't as good as those other shoes that I just mentioned. But it's still really good here in the Sabrina one, right? So there is the weight there, and there's the responsiveness. Now moving on to the ventilation. Ventilation is really good, right? So through this textile, there's not a whole lot of airflow, but through the screen mesh, we do have a good amount of airflow. But like I mentioned before, this material is super thin. So it does feel pretty good for ventilation. It's not the best for airflow because there's not a whole lot of airflow throughout the entire upper, but my foot wasn't super hot in it, but also didn't feel super cool, right? So ventilation I would say is pretty good, right? So there's that. Moving on to the aesthetics, I love it. It's a very, very dope looking shoe, and whoever designed it, it's just like a simple but dope like kind of design, you know what I mean? I also really especially love the design of the upper, right, with the stitching, and also this colorway is dope, right, with the like different shades of gray and also this iridescent color on the outsole. I feel like this shoe looks great. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, my overall kind of like consensus, I enjoyed playing the shoe, right? It's a really, really nice performer, but I don't think it's as good as the shoes that I've been playing, right? The shoes that I really like to play in, for example, like the Zoom Freak 5, the All Pro Nitro, the Jaw, I'm pointing there, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's over there. The AR1, you know, the Shockwave 5, the Jaw 1, the 808 3, shoes like that. I enjoy playing those shoes a lot more, and obviously I rotated, you know, when I play ball, I rotate my shoes like pretty much every game just to see how it feels, you know, and what the differences are. And Sabrina 1, like I said, it was solid. I really enjoyed playing it. It just wasn't my favorite, right? Due to like just minor things, you know what I mean? So for example, like the traction is really good, but not top tier. Also the support, like I said, it wasn't a huge deal for me, but I felt a little bit more supported in like the AG4s and like the Jaw ones and stuff like that. But still, it was adequate for me here in the Sabrina ones, right? So this shoe, I really enjoyed it. I really like the cushioning setup as well. I definitely feel like for 130 bucks, this is like one of the better cushioning setups that you can get. However, I definitely feel like there are better options out there, especially if you are a guard, you know what I mean? Also, if you're a bigger dude, probably not the best option, right? Or definitely, probably don't get these, you know what I mean? I don't think it'll be a very supportive shoe for you guys, but I would say this is a pretty solid option if you are a guard, right? But like I said, not the best option, right? So anyways, that about concludes my review of the Nike Sabrina 1. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave the link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.